be fair, when we're putting out and limiting medallions, the amount of rides we have for taxis, I think that we need to be fair with how many vehicles for hire can go out. I think within the 6 to 12 months, we need to figure out the FTEs, part-times, and so on and so forth. But I believe that, there may a cap is needed. Again, Councilmember Martin mentioned that before we go 100% out there, maybe we take baby steps. That's actually one of the smartest things that I've heard today on council as we move into this new era, venture, or whatever. I think we need to take our time. What we're doing here, I believe, is that we're putting, I don't think we're taking enough consideration into the people and the transportation that organizations that have made us to what we are today. And I think we need to take a step back. I know capping is not the most favorable thing for the new TNCs, but maybe we get the number that they have now, and then maybe we change that number, because I think it's going to be hard to go back. If they have over 150, 250, 350, it's going to be hard to go back. So I think maybe we get that number, maybe we have a question mark, and we put some statement in there based upon the amount of employees they have as of today's date. So I think we need to be equitable. And I understand they have 2,400, over 2,400 out there, but based upon our ordinance, we limit them. And I think I asked you this question at one of the committee meetings. Why do we have that cap there? We had it for a reason. And I think that now we need to do the same thing, initially having a cap for the drivers, for the TNCs per company, and then we move forward. So, thank you.
May I respond to that, Mayor?
Councilmember, would you allow her the rest of your time?
Well, no offense, it wasn't a question.
Wasn't a question. Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Costello.
Mayor, if it's okay, I'd like to defer to Councilmember Pennington. I'm curious about his amendment first, and then I'll just get back and queue at a later date. Is that okay?
Put you behind Councilmember Pennington.
Please.
Councilmember Pennington.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd just like to congratulate ARA and the mayor's staff, those that have been involved in getting the information. I know we've looked at statistics from Boston and from Seattle and a lot of other places. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of experience to of what to do. I think the Boston market, the apps picked up about 5% or less than the business. That's my recollection. I haven't looked at those numbers in some time, but I think we've done all the hard work that we could do to try to predict what would be a good thing for Houston. But unfortunately, there's a certain amount of crystal balling that it is involved. And I do think that in looking at rationales for limits, that I think that the city can only move so fast on this. I mean, if you're going to have 1,000 or 2,000 applications at one time, it'd be difficult to process all those and difficult to be fair on those who apply. So, and then there's also the enforcement issues, are the people turning on their apps when they should be? So there are a lot of enforcement issues, and I don't think we've got a big budget for that, and nor does this program really generate a lot of money. I think a couple $1 million a year maybe it might generate. So for that reason, I think that it is appropriate to limit the number of new permits that are issued. And so my motion would be to amend Councilmember Martin's motion to raise it to 250 perhaps per app operators, and that would mean if we have 4 operators, that's 1,000 new permits, which is 50% of what we have right now, or 33% if you include the limo operators, and I think that that's probably about all we can handle. It also assures if you spread it out among the applicants that each one will have an opportunity to come in and apply, which I think will help to assure competition, that one person couldn't come in and apply for 1,000 or 1,500 and soak up all the market. So I think it would help to assure competition. So that would be my motion to amend his motion. The red portion of it on the next to last line, strike out the 150 and add 250.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend the Martin amendment to change the cap from 150 to 250. Councilmember Martin,
Yes, ma'am, I'm okay with that friendly amendment.
Let's then, for the, for the purposes of moving the discussion forward, if we could just accept the amendment, unless there's an objection. Councilmember making the motion original motion has accepted the amendment. Because I don't know that it necessarily touches the substance of what the conversation is going to be, but if the city secretary would rather have us go to a vote. All right, a vote. Then I'm going to ask that we hold discussion and then just move to a vote on making the substitution.
Point of clarification. Yes, sir. Well, maybe I didn't phrase it properly. My suggestion or substitution would be to not just go with 250 with the numbers that they have as of now. I don't want to go back and scale down, because that's going to be somewhat.
Councilmember, you didn't make a motion
Yes, okay.
to that.
I'm sorry. I was following Councilmember Kubash 2 weeks ago by just speaking it out there, maybe.
All right. So clearly there is some debate on this, and so the item on the floor is to amend the working motion to 250 from 150. Is there discussion on that? Councilmember Davis has spoken to it. He wishes to have a larger cap. I'm going to kill the queue here and say that we're speaking to the substitution of 150 or 250 from 150.
And just point of inquiry. Pennington made the motion. Who seconded, please? I did. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilmember Costello.
Thank you, Mayor, and I probably will address my questions to both the author of the amendment and the author of the amended amendment. My question is this, first of all, is this 250 per company, or is this 250 total? That's my first question. I don't care who answers that. My second question is how do you measure that? I mean, because with the medallion, that's a medallion for one vehicle for 24 hours. And it's my understanding that this business model, a lot of it is part-time. Some of it might be 1 hour, some of it might be 2 hours. How do we measure that? Is that 250 vehicles for 24 hours a day? And that means there are going to be more vehicles there. So my question might not be to the authors of the amendment. My question might be to the director and ARA. How would we diminish that based on this amendment if it passed? So I'll stand there. Thank you.
First to